Story begins when two girls are trying to escape an airship because some soldiers are following them. Some of the soldiers appear in front of them and try to stop them, but Kat, who is a lieutenant, kills them and takes Lyria, telling her to stay close. As they reach the other end of the ship, a guy named Palm appears. He pulls out a crystal which affects Lyria and weakens her. Kat asks him to stop. Just then, Lyria's eyes shine and the crystal breaks, leading to an explosion, and Lyria falls out of the ship. Now we see a small town where people are working in the fields. It's a peaceful place, and kids are playing around. A guy named Gran is cutting logs. His friend says, "You're fast at cutting logs," he says. "I'm used to it. It's good physical exercise." Just then, his dragon named Vern comes along with his father. They give him an apple and he thanks them. Suddenly, they spot an airship. Something falls from it into the forest. Gran says, "I'll go and check." He grabs his sword and runs towards the forest. His dragon also follows him. As they enter the forest, he sees some wreckage, which could lead to a forest fire. Moving ahead, he spots the same light. As he moves towards the light, he sees Lyria, lying unconscious. He quickly goes to see if she is fine and tries to wake her up. She gets scared seeing him, but he tries to comfort her and asks if she is okay. She says her head feels a little fuzzy, but otherwise she is fine. After that, Gran introduces himself and offers to help her. She thanks him for helping her. As she sees Vern, she calls him a flying lizard, which irritates him because he is a dragon. Gran asks who she is, and she says she is Lyria. He asks what happened to her. She says she was in a dark room for a very long time and Kat saved her from there, so they escaped that place, but they were being chased. She then asks them if they know where to find Kat. Gran asks her what she looks like and she says she is strong and beautiful. Gran assures her they will find Kat and asks her to come to his village with him. Suddenly the soldiers spot them. Lyria gets worried and tells Gran to run away, but he tries to protect her. Gran draws his sword at them. As they attack him, he knocks one of the soldiers down. Seeing this, the other soldier hits him, but he manages to strike him down. He tells Lyria she is safe now, and says they also need to let the villagers know what is going on here. As they talk, one of the soldiers lets off a flare in the sky to call for backup. When Kat sees the signal, she runs towards it. Gran and Lyria run from there and he asks her where these soldiers are from. She says they are from the Arsta Empire, where she was captured for a long time. The other soldiers appear and even block them from the front, but Kat shows up there just at the right time. She uses her powers to kill them all in no time, and asks Lyria if she is fine, and takes her along. She tells Gran to follow her as it is not safe for him to stay there. After running for a while, Kat apologizes to Lyria because she pushed her from the airship in order to escape from there, and tells her they will leave this island as an airship is waiting for them. Lyria says she didn't get any injuries because she was saved by these two guys. Kat thanks them and introduces herself. She is the lieutenant of the Empire, and Gran asks her why the Empire is chasing them. She says Lyria is a girl with special powers, and for a very long time she was kept in confinement for experiments which she couldn't bear to see, so they escaped from there. He says it's not safe here, so it's best to leave from here sooner. He knows a route that can take them faster to the airship. As they leave from there, some soldiers seem to interrogate a man, asking him if he has seen a girl with blue hair. He denies it. Kat and others watch them as the soldiers force the man to help them. When he refuses, they take the little girl from him. Kat can't bear to see it, so she hits them with her sword one by one. Meanwhile, Gran helps Kat too by killing one of the soldiers. The little girl reunites with her father. The man asks Gran what is going on. He says he will explain it later and asks him to take care of the other villagers as well. As they leave from there, Kat feels sorry because now the villagers are dragged into this matter too. Some soldiers hide in the woods and attack them, but Kat senses it and hits them back. Suddenly, Palm arrives telling Kat that he admires her brain, but the same can't be said for her strategy as she ran away from the Empire. Kat asks Gran to take Lyria and run. Palm tells her she can't run, showing her the same crystal. He summons someone and tells them they can't run as it's too late for that. A four-headed dragon named Hydra comes and attacks Gran. He throws him to the ground. He manages to dodge all the fireballs but gets surrounded by the flames. Right then the dragon storms at him, leaving a deep cut in his chest. Seeing this, they all get in shock. Vern starts crying and asks him to wake up. Kat gets angry seeing this. When Palm arrives there and tells her the situation will be even worse if she doesn't hand over Lyria to him. He taunts her, saying why a lieutenant like her would choose such destruction. Lyria then awakens her powers as it is her turn to help Gran. She does a spell which takes her to the afterlife to heal Gran, and she tells him that she will share her powers with him. As she holds out her hand to Gran, just then Palm uses the crystal to stop Lyria from helping him. He asks her to give him the crystal she is wearing, but Gran still manages to get up and asks Lyria what has happened to him because he feels different. Palm gets amused seeing both their powers. Palm commands Hydra to attack Lyria. But at this time Gran and Lyria both combine their power, and using the spell she summons a legendary dragon Beeman. A powerful dragon Beeman appears. Palm gets scared seeing Beeman. Seeing such a big dragon, Palm gets flustered, saying, "What kind of creature is that?" and orders Hydra to take him down. Meanwhile, Lyria orders Beeman to free himself. Seeing his row, our Palm orders Hydra to attack him, and he begins building fireballs and throws them towards Beeman, but it causes no effect at all. Seeing this, Palm orders Hydra to throw more, and he builds even more fireballs and shoots towards Beeman. For a moment Palm gets relieved that Beeman is over, as it does not move, until Beeman starts building a giant energy ball and fires it at Hydra, and with a single move he destroys Hydra along with half of the forest. Even the villagers witness it from far. Palm cannot believe his eyes, seeing the destruction Beeman caused. Looking at him he says, "Is he some kind of beast?" and immediately asks his soldiers to retreat back to the capital. Meanwhile, Cat looks at Beeman and wonders. Lyria is powerful. After which, Gran asks Lyria about the dragon, and she says, "This is Beeman, who came to help us," after which she touches her crystal to take Beeman's soul back into it and thanks him for the help. Suddenly Gran falls down unconscious, and in a flashback, we see young Gran reading the letter from his father, who asks him to meet him on the island of Astral. Just then, Vern comes there and asks, "Is he reading the letter again?" He says, "Yes," and shows him how his father has written about the island of wind and giant dragons. He looks at the sky and says, "I am gonna be a skyfarer, just like my dad, and will meet him there." Just then Aaron comes and tell him that place is just a fairy tale, as there is no proof that it exists. Hearing this, Gran gets a little grumpy and jumps down the hill, telling him, "That place is real, and my dad is waiting for me." Aaron whispers, "You get lost in woods. How would you go that far?" Annoying him even more, they both end up in an argument. Just when Aaron's father comes and hits both of them, telling them to stop fighting, and he tells Gran that he knows that letter makes him happy, but he needs to be patient. Putting his hand over his shoulder, he assures him that he will get his opportunity to visit the island of Astral and see his father. At present, Gran awakes and he finds Lyria sitting in his room. Suddenly, she jumps and hugs him in relief that he is alive, and starts touching his body to see if his wounds healed perfectly and ask if he is feeling any pain. She gets too close to him, making him fall down from bed, just when Vern comes in and jumps onto him, telling him he got so scared seeing him injured. After which, Gran hold him and ask, "Where did the soldiers go?" When Cat comes into the room and answers that the soldiers have withdrawn from the island after the fight. He then asks about the villagers, and Cat says there was no damage to any of the villagers. In fact, he was the only one who died out in the battlefield. Gran looks at him in shock, as he cannot understand how he can die. Meanwhile, Ververn asks, "He got injured, but then with the help of magic he healed, isn't it?" She says, "No magic can bring the dead back to life. It was Lyria's special powers that healed him." Seeing Lyria apologizing to him, he asks if there is anything wrong. Cat says yes. "We need to tell you something," and ask him to sit down. She starts telling him the Empire has been looking into the primal crystal for years to expand their domain, and Lyria is the primary key to their research. But even with all the Empire's resources, they still weren't able to unlock the full potential of her power. So they kept her locked, and Cat wanted to save her, so they escaped. She then says her powers come from the primal crystal, because she is able to control primal beasts, like the dragon she summoned earlier. Primal beasts normally can only be controlled by people of Astral Island. So Vern asks, "Is she one of the Astrals?" And Cat says, "No, Astrals are long gone with no descendants." He then asks, "If not Astral, what is she?" Lyria sadly tells them she doesn't remember who she is and where her powers come from. The only thing she wanted was to save Gran when he got hurt. She looks at him and says that's why she merged her life force with him, and he came alive again. But now, they can't be parted from one another. Gran doesn't understand it, so Cat explains that they are joined together with one life. If separated, there will be no life in either of them. This shocks them, and he says, "Does that mean he was dead and she gave him half of her life force?" Lyria says she had no other choice to save him. Meanwhile, Cat tells him they need to leave this island and escape the Empire, and he has to come along with them on this journey. Later, a dinner fest is going on in the village for Cat and Lyria, and everyone seems enjoying. A little later, Cat and others arrives there. As she began speaking, a girl holds her hand and takes her ahead, where Cat tell everyone to listen, and says when the Empire attacked this island, they were actually after us, and apologized to them for the troubles they had. The villagers tell her it wasn't her fault, but Cat goes on saying she doesn't want any more trouble for them. That's why they will be leaving in the morning tomorrow. Meanwhile, Gran tells everyone that he will be leaving with them. Aaron gets stunned hearing this. Back in the evening, Kat apologizes to Gran as he has to suffer because of them. But gathering his courage, he says he is the one who needs to apologize, as his death was not their fault. Lyria even gave half her life to save him, as he remembers that moment. When she held out her hand, the one who wanted to live was him, and he says he is perfectly fine with staying with her, as he always wanted to travel. Also, there is a special place he wants to go where his father is waiting for him, and he is ready for this journey. Meanwhile, Vavern happily tell them that he will tag along as well, and Gran thanks Lyria for saving his life. He held out his hand towards Lyria and tell her that they will make this journey together. She smiles at him, just as Vern says, "We will have to make sure that you two stays alive." Kat remembers that there is a cure for their situation. It's on the Astral Island. Hearing this name, Gran gets surprised. She says they can also get the secrets of Lyria's past there, as she is connected to Astrals. Back in present, Gran tells everyone he is going to the island of Astral to meet his father there. Kat dictates the plan, saying they will cross Grim Basin leaving Fantagroden behind. And for reaching Astral Island they have to leave Grim Basin, and says they will do what they can to help Gran to complete his dream of meeting his father. Meanwhile, Ververn says he will be with them, so no one has to worry. Aaron shouts in anger saying, "Why do you have to go on this dangerous journey, leaving all of us?" But Gran insists, saying it is his own wish to leave. His father calms him, saying Gran needs to go as ever since that letter came from his father, he has wished for his dream to come true. Everyone in the village knows that, and Aaron asks him, will he come back to them after seeing his father? Gran promises him that he will come back. The feast begins, and everyone starts feeding Lyria with all the dishes. Meanwhile, Aaron's parents ask Kat to take care of Gran in the journey. Next morning, Gran gets ready, wearing his armor, and carries the letter his father gave him. He meets with others and gets excited seeing Kat's old airship. His uncle tells him, when his father left for his journey to be a skyfarer, it was the same kind of weather. He tells him it's a good way to start his journey. Gran thanks his uncle, and tells everyone to take care, and says he will be back soon. As they take off, the aircraft becomes unstable, scaring them. The airship gets turbulent, so they ask Kat to pull the lever, after which the aircraft becomes stable, and they see birds in the clouds around. Gran sees his village from above, thinking he never thought his village is this tiny, and remembers his promise to come back. He tells Kat to go where his father is, the island of Astral. Suddenly, they all start panicking because the lever of the aircraft breaks, making it unstable again. They end up crashing on an island, but somehow manages to survive the crash. Just then, a man named Rack spots them. He straight away inspects the airship and tells them the ship is completely destroyed. He immediately asks, "Who's the helmsman here?" Looking at Kat, he asks, "Did you check the power before flying?" She denies, so he says, "You guys have smashed this airship." He tells them they need proper flight training, and leaves from there. Suddenly they spot a cargo ship, which is heading towards the town. So Kat tell them, "We need to go in the same direction, and reach the city of Angona, the main island of Portree's archipelago." As they explore the city, they spot airships around, and Kat tells them, Angona is a market hub for merchants and skyfarers, who come here from all over the world to do business. Meanwhile, Gran asks her how will they travel from here. Pointing to the passenger ship, Kat says for time being we will travel from it, after which they all explores the market to buy what they need. Gran buys a new sword for himself. Meanwhile, Kat, who loves puppies and cats, spots one and start petting her lovingly. After which she sees Vern from side eye and says, "You are an adorable creature yourself," and walks towards him to pat him too, but he runs away from her. Meanwhile, Lyria sees a diary, and the shopkeeper tell her to keep it for recording her adventures in it. She picks and start looking. Kat asks her if she wants to get this diary for writing her journal, and she smiles, and takes it. The following day they all walks ahead and stops in front of a statue. Wondering what is this, a man asks them if they want to go inside, and says this place is used by merchants for meetings. When Lyria asks about the statue, he says this is the statue of their goddess, Tiamat. The gentle breeze they enjoy is all because of Tiamat, but now rarely anyone visits her. He asks them to go in and pray if they have time, and they agree. Later, in the hotel room, Gran enjoys the view whereas Lyria writes in her diary. The next morning, Kat is arguing with the receptionist, because she tells her that all the ships are sold out and the next will be available in a few days. Meanwhile, Gran hears the horn of an airship landing outside the station, so he runs to see it, and gets surprised by how big it is. Just when Rack shows up there, and tells them, for sailing in one of these, they first need to know about the control of the airship, and more than that, they need to learn to read the wind, because if they don't they will hit rock bottom. Gran asks him if he is a skyfarer, as he knows so much about airships, but he says he used to be but doesn't fly now. He asks, why don't you fly now? Turning around, he says he got his own reasons, and then introduces himself as Rak. He then takes them with him and shows them their destroyed airship in his workshop, which he is trying to fix. He actually makes the ship in working condition. Vern asks him if it can fly again. He denies, saying he still has work to do on it. However, he warns them to hire a good helmsman or else he won't return the airship. Gran agrees. Suddenly, two spies, Drang and Strum, arrive. And Lyria asks, who are you and what do you want? They say they have an extra airship and offer them to use it. Rak gets suspicious and tell them not to trust this. He then offers ripe apples to Vern. He instantly goes to grab it, but Lyria stops him, telling him not to trust strangers. Meanwhile, Gran suspects them as he accidentally slips out Kat's rank. Only people from the Empire could know that. The other spy Strum stabs Drang for speaking too much, and she says, we can offer you the ship, but you have to get out of the island. Strum draws her sword at them, saying if you don't agree, we will use force, which make Gran even more cautious, and tells Gran if they cooperate, they can get a good deal. Meanwhile, Rak whispers, get down when I say, and as she runs to attack, he pulls the lever and helps them escape using the smog. They start running from there, and the spies chase them too. They surround them. Meanwhile, Gran tells Vern to take Lyria to a safe place and draws his sword towards the spies. Seeing this, they both get ready to fight, and he uses a magical fireball and throw it at him. Gran defends it with his sword. As Gran runs to attack them, some magical branches help him by destroying the building, making the spies run away. Just then Rak finds them and takes them towards the secret tunnel, and we see a mysterious lady from above. Meanwhile, Rak says these secret passages were used during the war, and asks Gran why would he fight such dangerous spies. He says he wanted Lyria to be safe. Meanwhile, Kat searches for all of them. Finally, they all get out of the secret tunnel and Kat gets scared, while Lyria tells her that Rak helped them reach here safely. Kat asks what exactly happened. While sitting in a hotel, Gran tells her about the spies who might have come from the Empire and chased them. She says, without uniform, they must be mercenaries. Gran says they should get away from here soon, but Kat mentions all the flights are booked. While they are talking, a girl named Silo appears and tells them she is a bar owner and can help them with anything. Lyria gets surprised to see a child this small running a business, but Kat tells her she is a grown-up from a different race of small stature, people called Harbin. Kat asks her if she knows any cruise or airship to hire. She tells them that the Skyfarers are unavailable due to the high travel season, but she does have an old airship for sale at a good price. Kat expresses that it's too expensive for them to buy. Also, they don't have any helmsmen. Cello says finding airship would be hard at this season. People sitting next to them hear and mention a guy named Rak, a retired helmsman who might help them. They even talk about a crashed ship Rak is repairing. The next morning, Gran tells Kat they should ask Rak to be their helmsman, and that he knows everything about airships and can repair them as well. Kat expresses concern if Rak would understand their situation, but when they insist, she agrees. So they all go to find Rak, as they were told to find him by the large ship on the other side of the hill. When they arrive there, they see a large ship fixed by Rak. As they look at it, they gets amazed to see how big it is, and notices some soldiers marching around. Kat orders them to hide until the soldiers are gone. Just then she see a Harbin named General Furious. Kat recognizes him. Meanwhile, Furious dictates his plan to the soldiers. When one of the soldiers asks him, "Are you sure about destroying the whole island?" he angrily says, "Are you questioning my judgment?" and then kills that soldier as Furious detects some movement. He orders them to destroy the building Kat and others are hiding in. As soon as they hear it, they come out. And he recognizes Lieutenant Kat and asks, "Were you thinking to escape the island?" He orders the soldiers to get them. As they surround them, he says, "How dare they think they can take that airship and escape?" Just 10. Rak, who's hiding somewhere, uses his sniper and fires, which leads Furious to fall down. He fires at the soldiers too, and says, "You can't play around my ship." In a flashback, Rak dreams of the time he was flying his airship in stormy weather and was trying hard to take control, but the ship went out of control. Suddenly, he wakes up from his dream, and as he looks outside he sees General Furious busted the building, where Gran and others were hiding. Meanwhile, Furious mocks them, were they really trying to escape from that damaged airship? And laughs. He further tell them he has already planned to destroy this island completely, so there is no way anyone can leave from here. When Kat asks him about his plan, he says no one will be alive on this island and bursts into laughter. As he orders his soldiers to capture them, just then Rak shoots his chair, making him fall down. Furious goes rolling down the island. Meanwhile, Rack shoots towards the soldiers so that he can distract them and signals Gran towards a secret tunnel. Gran tells others to get inside the secret tunnel, which will take them back to the city. Moving forward, they see a light from far. As soon as Kat gets ready to attack, Gran tell her it must be Rack. Seeing him, she thanks him for saving their lives as he was the sniper, but he says no need for that as he was just trying to protect his ship. He then leads them from the underground tunnel to his own house and tells them they are safe here. He then asks them what they were doing around his ship, and Gran tell him they were looking for him to be their helmsman, but Rack denies, saying he won't be able to help them. He says he cannot fly without his beloved ship named Grand Cipher, which has been standing there ever since he was a kid, and back then, his only dream was to fly it. So, he collected parts for years and worked on the airship day and night to build it. Even risked his life for building it, even worked on his flying skills, until one day, it broke down in the middle of a storm and ever since it has been standing there. Gran asks him why he didn't try to fly the airship again. He says he tried repairing all the parts after the crash but still couldn't make it fly, and says he can't be their helmsman because he doesn't want to fly another ship other than his own ship Grand Cipher. Rack tells him he can teach him whatever he knows about airships but can't go until his own ship takes off. As they are talking, Kat spots that Furious and the soldiers are gone and now it is safe to leave, and they also need to warn people about Furious' plan to destroy the island. As they leave, Rack tells them he will go with them. Meanwhile, Furious gets angry at his soldiers for not saving him and also letting Kat go away. He even hit them and tells them they will capture that sniper after destroying this island. He asks them if the final plan of destroying the island is ready and they agree to it. Meanwhile, Furious says he will watch as the destruction unfolds. Gran and others return back to town just when the wind starts to blow hard and Rack mentions it's unusual weather in the city. Kat wonders about the information she heard of the powerful weapon being made for the destruction of the island, and Gran says Furious is definitely planning something devastating. As they walk ahead, they meet the spies again and Kat says she knows they are working for the Empire and asks if they are here to take Lyria. Kat tells them she will not let them take Lyria under any condition. Drang offers a ripe apple to Vern which he refuses, saying, "I don't want anything." Meanwhile, Strum tells him to get to the point on why they are here. He then reminds them of their offer of taking the airship and leaving this island. But Kat denies their offer and tells them she will not accept anything from them, after which they says they are left with no choice but to use force. After that, he throws his magical fireball at Rack, and he retreats back using his rifle, while Gran runs with his swords towards Drang and fights. Meanwhile, Strum fights Kat. However, their powers are unmatched against Drang's ability, as he hits Gran to the ground. Suddenly, the weather starts turning bad. As they try to attack Drang together, a tornado starts building and trees begin to fall because of it. Kat asks them what the Imperial Army and General Furious are trying to do in Angona, but they both retreat without answering. Before leaving, he still asks Kat to take their offer and leave the island, but she denies it, after which he runs away. Kat says she doesn't understand why these two spies were trying so hard to take them away from the island. It's clear that they weren't there just for Lyria. Meanwhile, Rack asks Kat that it may be true that these two spies don't know anything about General Furious' plan. Lyria says she feels that there is something wrong with the sky. After which, Rack tells them that they should move from there. The storm hits the city, destroying everything, and people run from their houses to the city hall, where they have taken refuge. As their houses are destroyed, people, especially children, fall sick and even get injured because of the stormy weather conditions. The storm hits the ceiling of the hall. As they go to check it, the tornado gets bigger and bigger and destroys the windows and walls of the building. Rack tells Kat at this rate the island will be destroyed very soon, so they have to take these people away from the island. So he asks if any ship is available. A man replies he has a big ship, but his helmsman is severely injured. Rack immediately asks the people in the hall if anyone can fly the airship, but when he doesn't get any answer, he ultimately decides he will be the helmsman. Meanwhile, a man requests him to take his daughter and wife safely from here, and Rack reassures all of them that he will save them as he is used to flying in this weather. He then takes a few people with him who know about ships and moves towards it. As they all gets there to see the working condition of the ship, suddenly, a blast occurs in that airship. General Furious destroys even the last airship they had. He announces he has corrupted the goddess of wind, Tiamat, and now they all will be punished by her, as she will destroy the island. He continues, saying the goddess of wind will unleash her primal beast upon them because he has triggered her. Rak comes back and tell Kat that the last ship has been shot by Furious. Meanwhile, Lyria asks if there is any small airship around, because she will have to use her powers now in order to stop Tiamat, and for that she needs to get closer to the goddess of wind. Rak asks her if she can really save the island using her powers, and she agrees to this. He then takes them through a secret tunnel towards his own ship. Rak tries to start his ship. Vern asks if he is sure he can count on the ship even though it has broken before. He says, "It will be fine now," as the ship probably was waiting for such an important occasion to fly, and he begins to start it. He pulls the lever and unveils the wings of his airship, and it starts to move. Finally, the Grand Cipher manages to fly again. They reach high altitude, and the ship seems to be working perfectly fine. Gran asks Rak to take them towards the goddess of wind. The ship reaches high altitude, above the clouds, and flies smoothly. Rak then spots a big mountain before and pulls the lever of the ships and unwinds it, taking the ship smoothly from there. Meanwhile, Kat asks Rak if they will be alright. He assures them that his ship will hold it together. Surprised, Lyria asks, "Do you talk to your ship?" He agrees, after which he takes them ahead, piercing through the clouds. That's when Gran sees a glimpse of Tiamat. Meanwhile, Rak asks them if they want to go towards that cloud, and Lyria says yes, that's where we will find Tiamat. Gran and Lyria sees her and says she knows we are here. Meanwhile, the thunderstorm is wrecking the island, and Furious observe it from his binoculars. He asks his soldiers, "How is Tiamat?" The soldier mentions her aggression is increasing, and Furious orders to record every movement. Meanwhile, Rak flies his airship carefully around rocks. Few rocks even hits the airship, but he tells them not to worry, nothing is going to happen to the ship. Meanwhile, Gran warns him that Tiamat is getting ready to attacking them, and that's when they notices they are getting attacked by Star Verge from every direction. Rak tries to dodge it. Kat protect Lyria and wonders what these things are. Just then, it attack again and pile up together. Seeing this, Rak puts the airship at maximum speed by increasing the engine output and then let it free fall. As they fall from sky, Rak proudly smiles, saying he really good at flying. Just then, they witness Tiamat, who has been corrupted completely. The goddess of wind is under the complete influence of Furious. Seeing this, Lyria tries to communicate with Tiamat using her crystal and ask her not destroy the island, but she doesn't listen and attacks again. They somehow manages to dodge it, but Tiamat continues showering Star Verge at them. Meanwhile, Lyria tries to interact with Tiamat again, but she cannot get through to her. So Lyria runs to Gran and asks him for a favor. Meanwhile, the attack continues. Seeing this, Gran order Rak to get the airship right over Tiamat. Following his order, Rak brings them up, dodging all the attacks. As they stops at the top, Lyria tell Gran that the Empire has embedded an infected crystal in Tiamat's chest. So she touches her crystal again to use Bayman's power and put it in Gran's chest, and tell him to save Tiamat. After gaining the power, Gran jumps straight from the side of the ship, shocking Kat. He runs from the cliff and activates his sword ability. Dodging all the attacks, he directly gets over Tiamat, but as she make a powerful attack he falls down, but somehow manages to gets there again. He runs towards her and with one single blow of his sword, he manages to break her corrupted crystal, after which he falls down. After the corrupted crystal is broken, Tiamat returns to her normal form and saves Gran into her hands, and brings him back to the ship. Meanwhile, Vern scolds him for jumping off the ship so recklessly, and Rak apologizes to the goddess for not giving her proper gratitude after the sweet breeze she provides, and says he will remind people as much as he can that without her, the island will vanish. After this, Lyria takes her power back. Meanwhile, Tiamat gives Lyria a gift. Later, as they get out of the ship, Lyria smiles and thanks Rak for saving Tiamat and the island. She tells the people of Angona that the goddess has been freed from the evil curse and that she will provide gentle breeze to the island again. Everyone gets happy hearing it, but Rak tells them that it is their responsibility to win back the goddess and they can't let it happen again. He says, "This island needs the goddess, and she needs to be assured that we are grateful towards her." Meanwhile, Ververn says things are settled for now. Later that evening, they all go to a restaurant to eat, where Vern and Lyria patiently waits for their food. While Gran is outside, so Kat sees him and says she has never seen anyone so reckless like him. She heals his wound and says it is hard to believe he threw his life away so casually like that. He says he thought that was the only way for them, so he trusted Lyria's power. She then gets up and says, from now, consult her before he does anything like this, and promises she won't let him die for nothing. She says she will take care of any problem that comes ahead. after which, they then join Lyria and Vern, who's enjoying their food. Meanwhile, Gran asks Lyria what's that gift. She pulls it and show it to him. As he touches it, they both see the glimpse of a volcano and mountain. Just then Silo jumps in there and tells them not to use magic here. As she sees the gift, she runs towards them and tells them it's a piece of a sky map. Meanwhile, Kat says she has heard of the sky map fragments before, and there are other pieces which all fit together to get through the place they need to go. Silo gets excited, seeing it. Crawling on the table, she says, I am seeing it for the first time. Meanwhile, Vern asks Gran, he also has some of its pieces. Lyria says she also saw another location from it, the Mountain of Red. Silo tells her it could be the area around Framwell Island, which is a long way from here. Later that night, Gran visits Rack, who's looking if his ship got any problems. Meanwhile, Gran tell him that he need to talk about something. So Rack get down to sit somewhere and he asks if he wants to be their helmsman. Rack thinks for a moment and says, where do you want to go? So Gran says, I want to go to the island of the Astrals. Rack turns around, surprised, but Gran says his father is waiting there for him and shows him the letter his father sent. He starts reading the letters, but doubt if this place really exists. Gran tells him he wants to see it with his own eyes, and for that, he needs skilled helmsmen by his side. He needs to experience it himself to be a skyfarer like his father. Finally, Rack agrees to go with him as his helmsman and held his hands out in agreement. Gran gets happy seeing it. The next morning, Kat get in the ship and greets Rack. She asks him if he is sure about it because this trip is going to be dangerous. He tells her he doesn't care as long as he is managing the ship, as he himself wants to see different places, because now his ship is working perfectly fine. She then thanks him for coming along. Meanwhile, Cello comes there running and says she has some work for them. Meanwhile, the spies from the Empire report to someone, telling her about the island, and that they couldn't take Kat and the others off the island. Drang says he couldn't believe a great primal beast could have been brought to a halt. When this mysterious person asks about the seeds they planted, they agree they were successful in spreading rumors. Meanwhile, Silo get in the ship and says she wants them to find someone there, and they wish for it to be secretive. She tells them they will directly speak to them in the vaults. Lyria immediately remembers this is the same place they saw in the glowing map piece. Then they leave in the airship, and Rack asks for further orders from Captain Gran. He asks who made him the captain, so Rack tells him he is the one who secured him as helmsman. That's why he will be ordering from now. Meanwhile, Vern adds that his dad was his age when he first took off. After which, Gran orders to set the ship for the vaults. After flying for a while, they reach to the place called Vaults, where they see the volcano erupting. They also come across other airships too, and wave at them, and finally lands, and goes to take landing permits. Meanwhile, the man there thinks Rack is the captain, but he corrects him saying it's Gran who's their captain. Vern and Lyria backs him up as well, saying he is more than capable of doing things. After which, he takes Gran along to give the landing permits. Meanwhile, Kat and others sees the gushing volcano in awe. She tells them that this volcano is the source of steel and is the backbone of Vault's economy. Just then, Cello also appears there. They shockingly seize her and ask how did you get here so fast as they left her behind. She says I am everywhere and nowhere at the same time and smiles. After that, she put her bag down and give them a document and tell them she will explain everything later. She also warns them that locals here are not very friendly, so don't be too curious. When they ask, what does she mean? Cello says, I will explain that later too, and leaves. Meanwhile, they step out to explore the city and sees various things and wonders. Everything is amazing. As they explore Vaults, which is known to have plenty of armor, steel, and food, they notice the town is pretty much empty and no one is around. Also, people closes their window looking at them. So, they wonder what is wrong here. Later that night, they are in a restaurant, and here, Silo introduces her client to them, and he asks if they are the one who saved Angona Island. Rack replies, yes. He then says if they can lend their skills for the protection of Vaults. Gran asks, what does he mean? While Kat asks who he is, he says he is a secret agent and works for the government of Vaults, shocking them. Meanwhile, Kat asks him we were asked to find someone. Is that someone an official of your country? He says the person they need find is the most important person in the country as he is an Archduke of Vaults, Zaka the Great. That's why he can't publicly talk about it, although people have started noticing the absence of the Archduke. Rack understands. That's why everyone is on their guard here. He suspects the Empire is involved in it, and that's why they need to be very cautious. He requests them to help his nation. Kat says, this situation is really difficult, but Lyria insists on helping the Archduke. Meanwhile, Rack asks Gran to make a decision, and he accepts his request. They all agree with him, saying together we can do it. Meanwhile, the agent thanks them. The next day, they splits into 2 teams and they go around asking people for information about the Archduke. While Kat is asking a lady, there's someone spying on them and listening to their conversation. The lady speaks about the Archduke, with a smile, and calls him an accomplished magician, as he used to perform for kids. Meanwhile, Kid says that the Archduke promised to come back and show us the magic. Lyria goes towards the kids and says, "You two really know Archduke, right?" They answers, "Yes, we are good friends and he even gave me a flower too." Later they go to a police station. Hitting on the table, the woman says, there are some rumors spreading, which claims the Archduke is involved with the Empire just because he used Empire ship. Another man adds, there are other rumors of Archduke ordering raw materials from Empire too, but he says, the Archduke won't do anything that doesn't suit the interests of the country. She agrees, and asks them, are you tourist here? Rock says, yes, we just came to explore the island, so she asks them to be careful outside. As they gather, they come to realize that the Archduke is adored by everyone in the city. They conclude what they found today about the Archduke, even the rumors they heard about him regarding the raw material. Rack says that we will also have to consider the rumors. Meanwhile, Kat asks, you mean he actually disappeared with the motive to destroy the world? He says, he doesn't know if that's true. Vern adds, it's strange how everyone sees him differently. Again, the same women spies on them. Meanwhile, Lyria insists that he must be a good person, whereas Kat says we need to do more investigation. So Gran decides, we should ask questions outside the town. The woman spying on them suddenly disappears. The next day, they begin to investigate in an abandoned factory, and Kat realizes they are being followed. She tells them this must be the same person she noticed following them from yesterday, because she is sensing magic from the trace of footprints. Lyria worries, but Gran assures her that she is safe with them. Suddenly, they hear a girl screaming and see her getting attacked by goblins. They quickly help her and fight off the goblins. Rack fires at them, making them scared, and they run off. Meanwhile, Gran held her hand to her and asks if she is hurt. She says she is fine. She asks them what they know about his master, the Archduke. Later, they sit somewhere and she introduces herself, saying her name is Io, a mage of vaults, and she thanks them for helping her. They introduce themselves to her as well. She says she has been following them because she knows that they are also trying to find the Archduke. Rack asks her, why were you sneaking around? She tell him, that's none of your business, irritating Rack. Meanwhile, Gran asks her, why were you following us? She says, the Archduke is her mentor in magical arts, and that Archduke is a real magician and an amazing person who chose her to teach magic. He can also build amazing structures and all kinds of machines. One day, people from the Empire turned up, and he disappeared without telling anyone. Ever since she has been searching for him, and that's why she followed them. She says, the rumors you heard about him are all false. Lyria understands that the Archduke means a lot to her. Meanwhile, Gran thanks her for trusting them, and Kat says she can leave it to them now, as this is dangerous, but she says she will search her master as well, and will stick with them. After that, they fly to investigate further. Gran shows her the locations they are searching, and asks if she knows anything. One of the places sounds familiar to her, so they leave to investigate there. Lyria asks her what she will do when she meet Archduke, and she says she will first slap him as he left without a word. Meanwhile, Gran says he always wonders how he will greet his father when he meets him, but a slap was never on the list. After that, he says let's focus on finding the Archduke, and they reach outside a giant cave. Io wonders. It's a lonely place, and notices the secret entrance hidden using magic. She then uses magic, and they enter the secret passage where Io tries to find the Archduke. They end up inside a hidden laboratory, and Lyria says she is not getting the right feelings here. Suddenly, the 2 spies of the Empire come out and tell them this place was first discovered by the Astrals, and what Lyria is sensing is a primal beast. Io asks who they are, and Gran says they are Imperial spies. Drang says, we aren't here to fight. We then see a girl walking next to the Supreme Advisor of the Empire, known as the Black Knight. After seeing this, Kat gets shocked and asks what she is doing here. She tells Kat to compose herself, and Rack asks why someone of such a rank is involved in this. Io furiously asks her, where is my master? What did you do to him? They tell the group that they are trying to find the Archduke as well, because he agreed to do a joint project with the Empire using the primal crystal, but he took all the results and disappeared. She says, the Archduke wished to use Lyria, and he put the crystal in one of his giant machines and left. After that they leave and a giant mechanical monster appears behind them. Io says, it's one of the machines built by the Archduke controlled by his magic. She runs in front of it and begs him to stop. It attacks her, but luckily, Gran saves her. But she still keeps begging it to recognize her. But that robot runs after them. Finally Rack fire at it with his rifle. As Io tries to approach the machine, Rack picks her, and they runs from there. But that robot runs after them, trying to attack them again. Seeing her master like this, Io cries, saying, "Master is all changed now. He doesn't really listen to me anymore." But Lyria tells her that, while she was telling the machine to stop, it really stopped for a while, and tell her to not to give up. She get all cheered up, and says, "I will keep trying until Master hears me out." Just then Rack says, "We should find an exit from here now." Meanwhile, Kat says, "First of all we need to find Archduke." When Lyria asks, "How?" she says, "Archduke must be here only, since Io senses his magic from that metallic robot." After that, Lyria warns them that she keeps hearing the same voice ever since the mechanical robot appears. She tells them it comes from that direction. After which they head there. They keep walking towards the direction Lyria told. That's when Lyria and Gran ask Io about her mentor. She says, her mentor Archduke is like a overgrown kid. While he research about his magic, he even forget to eat, which surprises Lyria. He put hours and hours to his research and gets all messed up. They burst in laughter listening to this. She says, he makes everyone smiles using his magic, and when Gran asks, can you do the same? She agrees. As they walks, they reaches to the other part of laboratory. Meanwhile, Io says with confidence, my master is here. Walking ahead, they come across a big hall, with another giant machine. Walking in front, Lyria asks, are you the voice I was hearing? Meanwhile, Kat asks Lyria, is this a primal beast? And just as they are talking, they finally sees the Archduke. As Io calls him, he flashes the red eye, but Io keeps saying, what are you doing here? Let's go home. But he doesn't recognizes her. Meanwhile, Gran tells him, your nation needs you and requests him to return with them. But he refuses, saying I have more work to do here, which worries Lyria, because Archduke plans to use Lyria's power to control the primal beast. As soon as Gran understand it, he protect Lyria. Just as he tell Lyria to give that power to me, Io asks him, why are you doing it, master? Meanwhile, the spies and the girl who control Black Knight are watching from above. As soon as the Black Knight order the girl, she uses her magic to awaken the giant machine created by Archduke. And it start moving. Kat drag Lyria behind her, and they all gets ready to fight. First of all, it hit on the ground leaving all the dust to cover them. Vermin says, he is too powerful for us. But Kat uses her sword to attack him back, but it doesn't even flinch. So Rack begin to fire at him. But again, no effect. Kat understand. It isn't an ordinary armor. Just then Lyria gives Gran the power of the Bahamon and tell him to go. Gran runs over that metallic giant and uses his sword to hit him, but end up giving it just a small dent. But when the giant hit him, Gran goes flying and ends up hanging on a shackle. Meanwhile, Rack says, what do we do now? Even Gran couldn't take the giant down. As Kat says, there has to be the other. They see the giant getting up and walking towards them. Seeing this, Io furiously uses her magic to stop him, but he keeps coming close. But even with her attacks, it doesn't flinch. Just then, a hand appears to help Io, and now with one attack the giant machine gets down, shocking the Archduke. It's Lyria that helped Io. She tells her, we are going to be fine. After which she summoned the powers from Tiamat, and as she unleashing her power, Kat tell Gran let's cover the girls, so he comes down to help. Meanwhile the giant machine gets up as well. They attack him together, and Rack uses his rifles again to shoot, knocking the giant on his knees. Archduke gets furious, seeing this, and orders him to get up, so he unleashing his powers again, creating the fire energy. On the other hand, Io and Lyria uses their powers and attacks him, and that one shot hits straight on his chest, destroying him entirely. Archduke cannot believe his eyes. He sit besides that giant machine. Meanwhile Io walks towards him, and says, get back to normal, master. She holds his face with both her hands, and as he sees her affection, Archduke get back to normal. She gets emotional and says, there are people waiting for you, and curl up in his lap and plead him to stop it. She starts crying. Meanwhile, Archduke recognizes her and hugs her, apologizing for causing her so much pain. The spies who were watching it from far leaves. Meanwhile, the Archduke collapses, and so does the building, as the giant stone falls over Archduke. Io gets herself on top to protect him. Then we see a flashback. Young Io, who has lost both her parents due to an epidemic, but like other children, who at least have someone to be with, she had no one at all. That's when she met this huge scary looking man, the Archduke. He sits in front of her and uses her magic to give her some flowers, and after a long time, Io was finally able to open up and cry in front of him. He offers her a handkerchief. As she tries to get it, he uses his magic to make it a bird. Io asks him, "How did you do it?" He tells her he can show her more, so he gets up to show more, and uses the magic to bring out the lights around her, which make her really happy. Back in present, Archduke, who is unwell, rests on the bed, and Lyria asks Io, "Is he like a father to you?" She agrees. Hearing this, Lyria gets emotional. When Io asks what happened, she says, "I never knew my parents too. Only Cat has been on my side." So she can understand Io's pain, and keeps crying. Io tells her, everything is fine now. She then shows Lyria a magic and create a flower out of closed fist, and says, that's the first magic master taught her, and give it to Lyria. When Vern asks why he cares so much, Io says, she doesn't know that, as she never asked him. Just then Archduke speaks. He says, the problems lies everywhere, but one should always smiles, only then the nation will flourish. Hearing his voice, Cat and Rack runs inside. He keeps his hand over Io's head, and says, I always want people to smile. When she asks why, he says, that's the only possible way you can connect with people. After which, he apologizes for the mistakes he did. He then thanks everyone for taking care of Io in his absence, and says that it was his mistake to create the evil chain. But Lyria interrupts saying, maybe your intention wasn't bad, because when the rock was falling onto you and Io, you were protected by the metal giant you have created. And that she could clearly hear him, that his last wish was to protect his master, because he knew how his master has created him to help and serve people. After which she shows him the fragment from Sky Map that was given to her. Archduke, tell her that there must a reason it is given to you, so should keep it with yourself. After which they all thanks him. As they walk out, Io walks ahead of them, and says, I want to thank you guys for helping my master. She asks them, what's the next place? Gran says, we will be moving towards Island of Astrals. He says his father is waiting for him. She asks them how would they reach there. Gran then touches that fragment of Sky Map and sees their destination, which is the Blue Island, filled with water. Cat wonders what it could be, and says it could be Augusti Island. Meanwhile, Rack adds there is a ocean there, and says let's go there, that's our next destination. Io smiles, and says I will see you guys later. The next day, the Archduke gets back before people and everyone seems really joyful and happy seeing him. Later, they thanks Archduke for everything. Meanwhile, Io comes there running, with a bag. Rack asks, what are you doing with a bag? She says I will be traveling with you guys, shocking them. Archduke asks her if she is sure about it. She says yes, I will go with them to learn to be independent, like my master. After which the Archduke himself requests all of them to please take her along with them to show the world. Gran agrees to it, and Lyria gets happy to have her along. Meanwhile, Io jumps out of happiness. Cat says she can get invisible and bored anyway, so I don't have any problem. She thanks everyone and says, I am looking forward to this journey. Two girls gets on the adventures tour to ruins to get the treasure, named Carva and Marie. But while jumping the alley, Marie slips and gets stuck while Carva, instead of helping, gets inside. Meanwhile, Marie tries to come out, and after much efforts, she gets out of there and manages to get in the shutter. She confronts Carva, saying, you don't care if I am ready or not. Carva actually gets stunned that Marie managed to come out, and says it's fun. This irritates Marie, and while saying something, she touched a statue, which is a trigger button. When Carva calls her, she presses the statue saying, what do you want? And just then, a stone falls right behind them, and they runs from there. Meanwhile, back in vaults, Cello thanks everyone for helping her client and also storing supplies for her, as now she can open a shop here as well. Cat tell her that they needed the supplies for their own trip, so they thought to help her. Rack points her out, saying you're welcome. Meanwhile, Io looks at Rack angrily and tell him to be more respectful. But Celo tell them she is thankful because that stocked up supplies for her, and ask them to visit her store. That makes Gran and Lyria really happy. After that, she tell them that she will give them everything they required for their journey in 2 days. So Vern says, that means we will have to stay here for a day or two. Meanwhile, Cello tell them, why don't you explore the ruins of the forest? But Rack suspects her that she is just using tricks for her own benefits. But she smiles and flatters him with compliments. Meanwhile, Cat agrees, saying, if we stays we can get a good deal. After that, Gran asks Celo where is the location to go to the ruins, and she smiles saying she will give them the map. The next day, Gran and Rak looks at the map to figure out the way, then they crosses the bridge to move ahead. They sees the map again and checks the compass to figure the direction. Meanwhile, Ververn flies above to see they finally come across a place. Lyria asks, is this ruins Silo was talking about? Gran says, he is not sure. Rak looks around and moves ahead saying let's figure out. But Kat tell him to be cautious. Rak turns around saying, we have to investigate. Meanwhile, Io says, we won't find out unless we go inside. Vern whispers to Lyria that we should go inside, and she agrees. But while moving ahead, the ground suddenly breaks, and Lyria gets stuck. But as they move to help her, the ground breaks and they all falls down one by one into the depths of the ruins. Gran even tries to catch Lyria's hand but fails. The team gets split up into two groups and they end up in a secret underground area. Rak and Io slides in the same area as Gran, and he wonders, where is everyone else? In the other end, where Kat, Lyria and Vern slides in, as Kat speaks to Vern. Lyria senses something and looks into the big holes. Kat says, we first need to locate Gran and others. Meanwhile, Lyria hears something around the wall. Just then a bat tries attacking Kat, but she easily splits it in half and says there must be monsters in here, so we need to stick together. She turns and asks Lyria, what are you doing? She says, I am listening because Gran and others might just be here. Meanwhile, Gran says, he sends Lyria too, because they both shares one life force. Io gets amazed listening to this, and says, it's really romantic, as you are still connected even when parted. Meanwhile, he asks Gran which direction Lyria might be. He points out to a door. Just then, the water comes rushing towards them from the same door, and Io uses her powers and forms a tornado from protection against water. After the water level goes down, she tell the group to, let's go now. On the other side, Kat also uses her power to protect them from the traps hidden all around the ruins. And Lyria almost slides down but Kat and Vern catches her and protects her. She then tells them that she feels Gran presence all over the place and knows his location too. Kat says, maybe Gran doesn't have the same power to sense Lyria. And Vern adds, that's not it. Gran has the worst sense of direction and says, he will for sure forget the way back. Lyria smiles hearing it. Kat agrees to him saying Gran does get confused in the new locations. Adding to it, Vern says that's how Gran has been since childhood, but he likes doing everything on his own. Lyria then asks, that means you guys are companions since childhood. Vern agrees and says, yes, we are like brothers. That's why I know him better than anyone. That's why I am accompanying him everywhere. Kat turns around and thinks how grandfather would have done all this journey to reach the astral island. But beyond this, she tells Vern that you are the cutest little lizard she has seen. Meanwhile, Io tries using her magic to lighten up their way to go ahead. But Rak lights up a candle and give it to her. But she tell him that she was about to light up the path. But Rak tell her, it's okay, she is just a little squirt, and they end up in a little argument, where Rak calls her a crybaby. So, she tell him I am not a crybaby, but you for sure, he is a old dude. This makes Gran burst into a laughter. When they ask, what's so funny, he says, long time ago me and Vern were also exploring a dark narrow cave like this. And we end up arguing like you two. As they all are speaking, they hear an explosion, and Carva runs, and gets flying on the ground. Meanwhile, Marie asks her, didn't you want thrills? And tell her, let's fight together. Meanwhile, a huge sand monster, who's protecting the treasure, jets in front her. She gets a bomb from her bag and runs towards it. Dodging his attacks, she throws the bomb onto him, making an explosion, just when the monster changes the direction and tries to hit Carva, as he lands a punch on her. Gran's sword protect her from the monster. Just then Rak and Io gets there as well. As Marie asks, who are you? Gran says, let's introduce ourselves later. Firstly, we have to deal with the monster. As the monster launches another punch, Rak shoots him with his rifle, but since has a sand monster, sand comes out from him, with no harm. Gran thinks, what should we do? When Io says, are we gonna attack him? Just then Rak and Marie runs to attack sand monster, and as he punch him, he dodges it jumping onto him, hitting him hard. Meanwhile, Marie throws a bomb at him, leading to an explosion, but he still stand intact. Meanwhile, Gran attacks at him from behind, but the monster punches him. At the same time, Ran and Marie fires at him. When Gran runs towards the monster, he gets hurt. Io asks him, are you okay? He says he is fine. After that, Io puts her stick down and make a magical circle, where he is. Carva gives some sign to Marie, which she understand. Then, Io orders Gran to go now, and all of them runs towards the monster. As Gran approaches the door, Sand Monster stops him, and he understands that he is stopping anyone approaching that door. Meanwhile, Io uses her power to create bubbles and forms a bigger one. after which Rack and Marie bursted over the monster. That's when Gran runs and attacks him with his sword, and Marie throws a bomb at him, which goes flying, but Gran runs and places the bomb right in the mouth of the monster, which destroys him in seconds, leaving a pile of sand. Just Lyria drops on that pile, sliding over it, and lands behind Gran, and Kat along with Vern gets there as well. Just as they are talking, Vern notices Marie and Carva before the door, and flies there to ask, "What are you guys doing?" Just then the door opens on its own, and inside is all the treasure of the ruins. They all gets absolutely stunned seeing it. Their Gran walks up to a special sword dogged in gold, and while he holds the sword, it forms a bright light. Just at that moment they all get teleported outside, away from all that treasure. Later, they all sit in the restaurant, while Marie cries that all the treasure is gone. Meanwhile, Cello asks them that they can give the sword as a mode of payment for all their supplies. Kat and Rack agrees to it, but Gran gets up from there, and walks towards Marie, and tell her that they can keep the sword as all the treasure vanished because of it, but they denies. And Marie says that she have Carva that's very special. Carva gets happy listening this and hugs her tightly. They smile seeing it. The next we see a laboratory where experiments are going on, and Palm observes it, just when a soldier whispers something on his ear. Later, Lyria is walking somewhere, where she asks, "Is there someone?" As she walks ahead, she sees a girl sitting over a pile of books. As she says, "Hello," Gran's dead body falls down, and one by one, the dead bodies of all her friends falls down on the floor. She gets shocked, and asks her, "Did you do this? Why aren't you answering?" As she turns around, Lyria gets stunned seeing the replica of herself. Just then Gran wakes her up. It was a dream, and she immediately asks Gran if he is okay and other too. He casually says, "Yes, everyone is fine. Were you having a nightmare?" She gets relieved thinking it was a dream. He assures her that everyone is safe and waiting for her on the deck. Just then Vern calls them out, after which they reach to an island called Auguste, and sees it from above, and Kat tell them that this is the only island with an ocean. Meanwhile, Io and Lyria enjoys the view, and Kat says she is happy to see Lyria and Io so close together. She tells Rack that it's good to see that finally Lyria has friends of her own age. Rack says, "Yes, it's even better if they get rowdy." That makes Kat laugh. After which Rack tell them to be careful as he is gonna splash down. He gets the airship down, and Io tell him, "What are you doing? We gonna crash," but he splashes down in water. Then they land near the shore, and Io scolds Rack, saying, "I was so scared." He apologizes to her, and says, "I guess you never saw a ship before." And they end up in another argument. Lyria laughs seeing them. Meanwhile, Kat tells Rack that we need to find a place to rest, when Io says, "This is a tourist area yet there is no one around." Just then Lyria senses some primal beast, and says it's hard to hear it, and asks Gran if he is feeling anything as well. He says he doesn't hear anything but smells something. So they begin investigating, and find some smelling sponges around the shore. Gran then notices some smoke coming out. Meanwhile, some people on the boat warns them to stay away from that smoke. Just then the man named Yugi recognizes Rack, and Rack recognizes him as well from Port Breeze. He asks Rack, "How's the Grand Cipher?" When Rack says, "It's perfectly fine," he gets happy hearing it. He then asks him, "You got your whole family for vacation?" Rack hesitates, but Yugi says, "That's your wife signaling to Kat, and your 3 kids." Kat hesitates, and says, "That's not the case." And Io burst on him saying, "We are not a family." He clarifies that they are skyfarers, and pointing to Gran he says, "That's the captain." After that he takes them on his boat, towards the town. That's when Yugi says that he is working with the defense forces because Auguste Island is at the war against the Empire, because the Empire was polluting the sea with their filthy experiments. He says, "We told them to stop but they didn't, so we had no choice." He says, "The people of Auguste are united. Soon we will throw the Empire away from here, because our guardian deity Leviathan is with us." He tell them they should also pray to Leviathan for good fortune, and traveling to safe journeys. Vern asks, "Does the prayer work outside the island?" That makes Gran laugh. Then Yugi asks, "Are you crossing the island? Where are you going?" Gran says, "We are heading to Astral Island." He gets shocks at first, and then laughs. He says he like his confidence, and then shows them the city built on water, the capital of the island. They get stunned and happy to see the city, and Lyria says, "The market here is so cool." Meanwhile, Kat says as well that this city is really good. After which, they get in the palace. Just then an injured man gets there, who got hurt fighting the monster. Yush tell them, nowadays many monsters are coming there. Meanwhile, Io runs to see his injury, and uses her healing magic to cure it, and asks is there anyone else hurt here. He says, yes, many in his army are hurt. Kat says, are you fighting monsters without any training? He agrees. So Io says she is ready to help them. So a man takes her along. When Kat says that she would love to assist him as well, Yuji asks her if she can give his troops some training. She says she will be happy to do that, and before leaving, she tell Gran to take care of Lyria. Meanwhile, Yuji tell Rakt if he can repair few ships, they takes him with them as well. Meanwhile, Lyria and Gran ask if they can also help in something. He appreciate it and ask them if they can shop for them. He hands them a list and asks they need all these supplies for the soldiers. So Lyria runs out happily and both of them get into the market to purchase the supplies. After that, they explore the entire market, sees the different items, and enjoys the moments of laughter with each other. While they coming back, Lyria smells some good food and they walks towards it. A shopkeeper calls them, and he convinced them to try the famous seafood of the island while the boss tells them to stop harassing the customer. But he says that he is just showing them the food. Then they make a tasty fish steak and hands it to Lyria. She gets all surprised to see how yummy it look. When Gran asks, "How much do we owe you?" the boss says, "Nothing. Just come back if you like it." And of course the employees appreciate it. Lyria and Gran sit over to enjoy the food, and she loves it, and tell Gran that we should come here again with everyone. Meanwhile, Rak sits over and tell Yugi that he needs better labor to repair ships. And as he gives a cup of coffee, Rak says, "Did you stop us to do all the work?" Yugi says, "After what I did for you, it's your chance to return favor." That's when Yugi asks him, "Why did you put a kid to be the captain of your ship?" He says, "Gran always wanted to be a skyfarer to see the end of the world. That's why I just wanted to complete a kid's dream." Then Io walks in, saying she has cured everyone now. Yuji tell her to relax, because tonight they will be having some good food, as he is cooking today. As Io says she can help him, but he says Kat is already helping in the kitchen, which shocks them that Rak nearly choked his drink. Yuji asks, "What's wrong?" Rak says, "It's gonna be disastrous." Just then they hear an explosion from the kitchen. Meanwhile, Lyria sees some beautiful shells at a shop. So she approaches the shopkeeper asking, "What is it?" She explains that these are shells from ocean, so she sees different shells and garlands there. Meanwhile, Gran is looking for her. Lyria sees a blue shell and picks it, and she shows it to Gran. The owner explains that this blue color represents the deep connection with the ocean. She says, "We use this to form deeper connection and bonds." So Gran smiles and buys it for Lyria. He puts it on her hair, and the owner compliments her. Meanwhile, some hooded men spies on them. Lyria gets extremely happy wearing it, and see her reflection. Right then, it starts pouring, so they sit somewhere to take shelter. She says it's her first time shopping, so Gran asks, "Do you remember you bought a diary?" She says yes. He asks, "Do you still write?" She says yes, he write all the events, and that she still has a lot to write. Coming to this island, meeting Yugi, and looking at him, she smiles and says, "Especially about you, Gran," she says, "I will always take care of the gift you gave me." Just then they hear a bell, and sees a double rainbow. Looking at it, she says, "I wish we keep traveling." He then remembers to buy some other thing and ask Lyria to wait for him. Just then people notices the battleships from the Empire, and as Gran runs to buy other supplies, he almost collide with a lady, who surprisingly knows his name. Meanwhile Lyria, who keep looking at her reflection, gets kidnapped. And when Gran returns he sees Lyria isn't there. The kidnappers takes Lyria over a boat. Gran runs towards them. He sees them taking Lyria, and jumps from the building to catch them. He bolts to catch them, but gets stuck as there is no way to go, and watches them taking Lyria with them. Gran still runs. Meanwhile he sees the battleships from the Empire attacking the buildings of the island. He realizes that's where they took Lyria and runs. Meanwhile, the soldiers takes Lyria before Palm, and orders everyone to onboard her immediately. Just then people of the island protest, saying you can't take her. While Lyria stops them, Palm says, "Of course it is harsh for this island, but if Lyria wouldn't have come here, no harm would have happened," and says, "You chose to run away from us, and that's the reason of these people's suffering. So cooperate with us." Lyria tell him she doesn't want to go back. When he asks her, "What do you wish?" she says she wished to continue her journey with Gran. Palm immediately refuses to grant her that. She asks why. He says, "Because you aren't a person but just a tool left by astrals." He scares her by firing the gun at the people. Still Lyria refuses to be called his tool, and tell him, "I will not be used by you." Palm then walks up to her and moves the crystal right before her face, and asks her, "Do you recall the first time you saw this light?" and intimidate her saying, "Yes you do, because there were other experiments too," and ask, "Do you remember what you did to other people?" Her eyes widens remembering something. She hides her face, thinking about it. He tells her that all she has done is to bring death and destruction. That's the purpose of her existence. Palm manipulate her saying that's why she can't be among innocent public. he says. If she stays with her friends she would be the reason of their deaths, and ask, do you want that? She remembers her nightmare. That's when he says that only we can control your powers. She looks down and says, I need my friends. Just when he takes the blue clip Gran gave her and breaks it into pieces. Just then, Gran arrives there, fighting with the soldiers. Meanwhile, Palm starts firing. Gran then calls Lyria, who's crying. He furiously asks him, what have you done to her? He says, all I did is just reminded her of what she is. Just then, the giant water dragon emerges and attacks the battleship, breaking it into two. Meanwhile, Palm blames Lyria for this, and the Empire's battleships attack the dragon, but it destroys them in seconds. Meanwhile, Palm intimidates Lyria and points the gun on her head. Right then, Gran runs towards him, warning not to touch her, and lands a kick on his face, making him fall down on water. Gran then asks Lyria, are you okay? Just then Kat and others arrive there. Ververn senses that something is wrong with Lyria. Meanwhile, Rak notices the dragon and asks what is this? That's when Gran picks his sword for protecting everyone, but Rak says, first we have to get Lyria out of here. And also Io tell him that he is injured too. Meanwhile, the sea dragon notices the glowing sword of Gran and causes a tsunami which is about to wipe out the entire city. All of them submerges in water. Gran tries to get his hands towards Lyria but can't. Just then, all of them get rescued with the magic power of a girl named Rose. As Gran checks on Lyria, she is unconscious. The dragon gets back into the water, after which Rose tells them to take Lyria to a safe place, so they take her to the hospital. While the nurse observes everyone, Gran, who also got injured, gets the treatment, but he says he is worried about Lyria. Meanwhile, Rak and others walks to Kat and ask, is Lyria doing any better? She says, no she isn't. Yuj asks what happened to her. Kat tell them that it looks like she is asleep and not even responding to healing magic. Just then, Rose arrives there, and tell Rouge that you already know what it is, don't you? She then says, I am a friend of these kids. Gran agrees to her. She says, this island has a deity, Leviathan, a primal beast. She asks Yuges that since he's living here he has seen it right. He agrees. That's when we realize the sea dragon was the guardian of Sea Leviathan. And because of the experiments of the Empire, water has been polluted, which is why Leviathan is acting like that. So Kat says, is that the reason of Lyria's condition? Rose denies, and says, Lyria is having a struggle inside her. Kat asks her, what struggle? She says, Lyria has shut her mind to protect something. So neither our medicine or our magic can do anything. But there is a way to wake her up. But after the forceful awakening, circumstances could be much worse. But Io says, but we can't let her suffer like that. Meanwhile they says, or words doesn't seems reaching her. When Rose says that isn't entirely true, they realize that Gran is the only one who can reach up to Lyria, because they share a life together. Just when Rak asks Rose, what is your plan? Suddenly Rak asks, are you a secret agent from Empire? She says all women have their secrets. While they look at each other, Gran tell him, Rose isn't our enemy, because she is the one who saved us from drowning. So she asks Gran, what do you think? Shall I wake Lyria up? She doesn't get any answer, so she tell everyone first think about it, and then tell her, and then walks out. Io asks them, what are we gonna do now? Just then a man rushes in, saying, the sea is active again, and the water level is increasing. This frustrates Yuj, while Rak says, let's figure it out and tell Gran to rest here, along with Kat. Later, Gran tell Kat that when she finally found Lyria, it looked as if her spirit was broken. Also things Palm was saying about that Lyria will destroy everything. Kat looks at him and says, I need to tell you something that happened before we met. She begins that the Empire was conducting experiments on Lyria and other creature for weapon development. During an experiment, the animals was caged in an inhabited island, but the moment they met their gaze to Lyria, they summoned something very powerful from inside her, after which they converted into some form of energy, powerful enough to destroy the whole island. Seeing this, Lyria was immediately confined in isolation, and Kat was given duty to watch her. At that time Lyria never showed any emotions, and functioned like a machine, but still, when Kat touched her, she had emotions. It's just she didn't know how to express it. Kat then begun teaching her few things, and she started learning about her emotions. And that's when Kat decided to give Lyria all the freedom, and ran away with her. Back in present, Kat says, when you met her, you taught her something special. She used to tell me what you both did at the end of the day. Gran gets disappointed, saying, still I couldn't protect her. He apologizes to her, but Kat gets up and tell him, why would you say that? That's my responsibility, not yours. She gets emotional and says, why do Lyria has to suffer this pain? After calming down, she says, you have really taken care of Lyria, so now you better take some rest now. After that, Gran walks out from there. When Vern asks, is she better? He denies. He leans over the balcony and says, if Lyria can really hear me, what should I say to her? Vern then flies before Gran and says, I am sure Lyria has something bottled up inside her, but the only person who can know that is you, Gran. Your life is connected to her. That's why you have the strongest bond with her. And if you talk to her and tell her how much important she is, she will definitely listen. Gran thanks him and runs to Rose and tell her we want you to wake Lyria. So she tell him that we should go to the primal beast that has the power to wake her. So Gran says, I will help Lyria no matter what it takes. Then Gran tell Rack about the plan, and he says fine, if that's the only way to save Lyria, we are ready, and says, I will take you to your destination safely. Meanwhile, Yuji agrees with Rack and says, don't worry, we got this. Just then, Io comes there angrily and says, Lyria is my friend. I will help her no matter what. Rack tell her to calm down, but she shut him up, saying, I will go with you, and leave from there. Meanwhile, Rack says, she is a headache. Later, they gather around the ship, and Rack thanks Yugi and CeeLo for everything, and tell him we will be back once everything is well, and see him off, waving. Meanwhile, Yugi tells CeeLo that we still need supplies. After that, Kat tell Rose that they are counting on her to lead the way. She then says, sure, we will be heading towards the Lumacy archipelago. During their way, Gran looks all tensed about Lyria, while Rack tells Rose that he doesn't trust her at all. She smiles, saying you really cares about your friends. He looks at Lyria and says, yes I do. Meanwhile, Vern flies to Io who's writing something. They finally reach on the island of Lumacy, and Rose tell them that under that giant tree is their destination. In the flashback, Lyria runs to search for Gran but slips down. Just then she notices Kat and everyone else there. She then sees Gran, who give her his hand, but just as she hold his hand, Everyone vanishes and she remembers what Palm said. You are just a tool for destruction, and she sees everyone is dead. Her hair clip breaks as well, and she gets in pain and agony that she never wanna hurt her friends. Back to the present, they reach there and get inside a cave. Meanwhile, Rack asks, is this the only way to get in here? Rose says yes, and says don't worry, no one will harm us, and kept moving till they get out of the cave, and then they reach to their destination, in front of the giant tree. This is where they will get the power to cure Lyria. Rose then tell everyone to wait and then summon someone. Just then the environment there changes and a girl appears over the tree. When Kat asks, who is this? She says, this is a primal beast. Who rules this forest? A spark of light appears. She then gets down before them and hugs Rose. Io asks, you two seems very close. Rose says, we are like family. She then looks at unconscious Lyria. Meanwhile, Gran asks her for help to save Lyria. She smiles and makes a way for all of them by forming roots from a shrub. Kat lay her down. Meanwhile, Rose dictates Gran that they will send Gran in Lyria's consciousness to interact with her. He understands it. Then Io gives him the blue hair clip he gifted to Lyria. Rack says, wasn't it broken? But Io tell them that she repaired it. Gran holds it in his hand, and Io says, it was really important to Lyria. He thanks her, and she smiles. They all tell Gran that make sure Lyria sees it. After that, the primal beast begins with her magic, and Gran sits there holding Lyria's hand, and finally enters in her consciousness. He swims across that place, and finally sees Lyra sitting over. He calls her name, and says, can you talk to me now? And tell her to share her experience of this journey with him. Lyria, who's reading a book, says, all my memories are hidden in these books. The memories I wanted to keep away from myself. I threw them in these books, and that she forgot them. That's why. She is reading it again. Gran shockingly asks, what did you forget? She says, that I bring only destruction. He gets shocked listening and gets teleported to the memory where Lyria and other creature were confined. She says, she remembered that she was very scared and asked for help. That's when a primal beast came, and everything got destroyed. She says, it was all my fault. Gran immediately turns around, and says, it wasn't your fault, the Empire made you do it. But she says, these are my powers, and I am nothing more than a tool of destruction, and that she only brings deaths and misfortune. Gran tell her, that's not true, but she keeps saying, everything that happened in the island too was all my fault. Gran tries explaining, but she keeps repeating, it's all my fault. As he tries walking towards her, she stops him saying, don't come close to me, I will again end up destroying things. Gran tell her, you have not destroyed anything, your powers have only helped people. But she shouts, Kat, she was an excellent processional in the Empire, but now they just wanna hunt her down. He tell her, Kat doesn't think that way. Then she says, what about you, Gran? You lost everything too, all because of me. But Gran tell her that's not true. I was able to get on this journey is all because of you. But she cut him saying no, everything would have been fine if I didn't exist. As she cries, her tears drops down, and she says, "You were supposed to have a good life without me, yet you and Cat always took care of me, but in return I destroyed your lives." She says, "I won't let myself hurt any one of you anymore," and she blocks her emotions in a way that Gran starts getting out of her consciousness. She says, "This is where my journey ends, because I am giving you all of my life force." He shouts and stops her, but she keeps saying this is the end. He tell her not to do it, but she says, "Goodbye, Gran," and tell him to complete his dreams. And just as he struggles to reach her, the hair clip drops down to her. She looks at it and hold it in her hands. Meanwhile, Gran swims back to her and says EO repaired that. He sits in front of her and says, "You haven't destroyed anyone." Holding her hand, he says, "We are still connected." And the clip gets right in her hairs. He says, "I promise you, Lyria, we will build our future together," and tell her to let's go. He gives out his hand and says, "It's time to continue our journey." She smiles and holds his hand, and they get back together. The primal beast creates the way out of the roots for them. They thanks her for helping them and witness the rainbow together. And Gran promises her that he will never leave her alone ever again. And he tell her to always protect yourself as well, after which they both holds hand. Gran wakes up and so does Lyria. She sees everyone. Seeing her, Cat hugs her, and so does EO. They get super happy that she is back. Meanwhile, Vern and Rack appreciates Gran. They all smiles, and the primal beast disappears. Inside the Lyria's crystal, Rose gets happy that Lyria is safe, but says we need to get out of here. Just when they hear the sound of blasts from the Empire battleships. Meanwhile, Palm tell his soldiers that it's time to track them down and order them to go find those people. Just then Cat arrives there and warn him, "I won't let you harm Lyria anymore," but he tell her, "I will retrieve that girl." Meanwhile, Gran says, "You will have to go through me first." Palm shouts at them and says, "Lyria is not a person but relics of the astrals, who will destroy everything." But Gran and Cat both backs her up, saying, "She is not the reason of destruction." But Palm insists, saying, "Don't you remember what happened before?" While Cat says, "Lyria has changed now, she can control her powers." Meanwhile, EO says, "It's you who is causing the destruction, by polluting the sea." Lyria gets happy seeing the support from her group. Palm says, "You have left me with no other choice," and pulls ahead the crystal, and summons the monsters of the island. The group gets surrounded by the soldiers and the monsters, but just as they tries to attack, Rose stops them using her powers. Meanwhile, Lyria gives Gran the power, and he runs to attack the soldiers, and so does Cat. As Gran jumps towards them with help of EO, he dodges the attacks, and moves towards Palm, and strike him. Just then the crystal falls up, making a huge energy ball, leaving Palm completely flustered. Gran points his sword on him, saying stay away from Lyria. But he pulls his gun towards him, but the gun gets snatched away by Tiamat, who came to help them. Lyria tells him that I will not lose my powers ever again. Meanwhile, Tiamat vanishes Palm away with her powers, along with his soldiers into the ocean. Lyria thanks her for saving them, after which she vanishes back in her crystal. Lyria says she asked Tiamat to help them and she came right away. Meanwhile, Gran says, "Where is Rose?" They see around, but Gran notices a Rose there, and says we will meet her again. Lyria then tell everyone that when they were in Augusti she could hear Leviathan, who wanted to save the ocean and people, but her own mind was so corrupted by the experiments that she couldn't control herself at that time. Lyria couldn't help her, but now she wanna do whatever it takes to help her. They all support her, so she smiles, and Gran says, "Let's go back to Augusti," so they leaves. Meanwhile, Rose see them and says, "I hope you plan again to visit me. Till then I am sure you will be fine, because you are the son of the man who invited me on this wonderful journey." Yuji walks around his island and runs to see a boy unconscious. He asks him if he is okay. The boy wakes up and Yugi hugs him. He hears something and sees the water goddess Leviathan disappearing. Back in the present, Yuju's sitting. Just then his men come in and inform him that it's coming back with monsters. They witness Leviathan roaring and getting extremely furious. Just then, Gran's airship also lands there. Meanwhile, they attack Leviathan with cannons. That makes her even more angry. They run away seeing it. Meanwhile, Yugich comes there and looks at Leviathan. He asks her to stop but ends up getting attacked. He then notices a giant robot fighting on their behalf and fires at Leviathan. Just then Gran and group run towards Yuji. He tells them he's happy to see them safe. But Yuji tells them that it's still messy here because he doesn't understand what happened to Leviathan as she has started attacking the city. Gran tells him that we will help you, but he says, "We just have one choice, that is to evacuate." But Lyria tells him that for saving a goose we need to help Leviathan because she has reached her breaking point. She tells him that she has already used all the energy to clean the sea, but now, if we don't do something, it will be devastating. He asks, what should we do? Then Gran says that we first need to know what will ease Leviathan's suffering. After that she will be normal again. Yuji then addresses everyone and says, we first need to distract the monsters and then take them down to help our goddess. He asks them, can I count on you? They all agree. As Leviathan gets furious, they all run towards the monsters and kill them one by one. Rak uses his rifle to shoot them, but they keep coming. Just then Marie and Kaf blast the monsters from above. They tell Gran that they are here to help him. Gran thanks them. Meanwhile, a girl pinches the sponges from a stick and asks, what is it? The man says this is the sponge that is polluting the sea, so she says, we should get rid of it. And they both attack the monster fishes. Holding both her swords, she says, I am gonna clean up the sea. Meanwhile, a girl who is walking, but suddenly, the monsters gets before her, and before anyone notices she knocks them down. She turns around and Vern along with Gran and Lyria appreciates her skills. She looks at Gran and says thank you, which surprises him. She says you have honest eyes, and it will be a pleasure to help you, and disappears in the form of butterfly. Then they hear a loud shot and look up at a girl behind a gun. She shoots sharply. Fish monsters run behind Marie and Carva, and they reaches a dead end. They then gets the help from a man named Tiny who throws a block on the monsters, killing them. Standing on a rock, with one shot he breaks it into pieces and attacks the monsters, shocking both girls. Meanwhile, Gran takes a leap and hits the ground. Kat uses her magical sword to attack. Meanwhile, a fish monster gets right before them, but a girl behind the cannon protects them and kills it. Turning back she smiles and says cannons are the best. Meanwhile, Rak and Yugi shoot the monsters one by one, whereas Tiny punches the fishes and destroys them one by one. Just then, a man appears and compliments Tiny for his punches. Then he bolts with lightning speed, hitting monsters in between. The girl joins him and both run at lightning speed, finishing the monsters. Meanwhile, they look at Leviathan and sees the fishes acting weird. The woman says, they all are uniting together, and before they can react, the monsters attack them, making them run and hide behind rocks. They says, it looks like they are getting orders, but Lyria says, it's not Leviathan because she cannot sense any signal. Meanwhile, Gran says, he senses something, and sees a fish in the center, but the monsters continues the destruction, while Yugi says, we need to eliminate the commander, and Vern tells Lyria to summon Baheman, but she denies, saying Baemon's heat will burn Leviathan as well. Just then, a wave of monsters comes towards them. A girl named Shira, who is the captain of the island, saves them. A strong tornado starts erupting, so a girl observing from above flies towards the monsters. Using magic, she destroys them with a big blast. Meanwhile, Vern asks, are they finished? Yugi says, they are still swirling. He runs to find the commander. As the monsters circles around, he finds it and fires. He destroys the commander, then orders Gran to save Leviathan, after which Lyria summons a primal beast. She creates a wave. Meanwhile, Gran runs towards Leviathan. She roars and attacks, but he dodges and keeps running. He finally strikes her. Smog comes out. Meanwhile, smog starts coming off from Lyria too. They witness the intense smog. Lyria's eyes glow, saying we must. Gran digs his sword saying, we will, and then he breaks the curse from Leviathan. As the curse gets off, everything glows for a while. Tiny holds Gran's collar and says, it's impressive. On the other side, Yugi thanks Leviathan and says, he knows she protected the sea. Afterwards, the power returns to Lyria's crystal and Leviathan leaves a gift. But instantly, the Black Knight tells the girl to take away part of the power. When Kat asks, what did you do? She says, I relieved Lyria from her power. Lyria immediately asks if the girl is same as her, but she denies telling him and leaves. On the airship, Yugi says he doesn't want to lose the girl again. Later, everyone enjoys the fest by Silo. The girls enjoys the drinks and Rak cheers his drink as well. Meanwhile, Marie and Carva comes to say bye to Gran and Lyria and says, we will meet again soon. Io gets sad after Marie left, but Rak says they will meet again. Meanwhile, Lyria says she wants to meet the girl with the Black Knight as well, because if she meets her she can know more about herself. Yugi offers a drink to Gran, and thanks him for helping and asks if they need a new member in the crew, because he wants to join. This surprises Gran. Yugi says he also has some personal business, and requests them to take him along, and Gran agrees, and says, it will be reassuring to have you, and Kat agrees. Looking at the people who are enjoying, Gran says, we value the connections we form. He extends his hand towards Yugi and says welcome on board. He shakes hand and thanks him, then tells everyone to start the party. He offers drinks to everyone. When he sits down, he tells Gran to lead the toast. Meanwhile, Lyria brings the glasses, and they all toast together. Next morning they leave on their airship and see firecrackers around the palace. People wave flags to say goodbye. Gran and Lyria says they will return soon. Meanwhile, Yuge tells everyone to take care. They all cheers as the airship sets off. After they start flying, Yuge says, locals are happy. Gran says it's good to see them smiling. Then says, let's find what's at the end of the sky. In an alternate timeline, story begins with a female character named Zera. Instead of Gran, she spots Lyria, unconscious lying down. Zera runs towards her and tries to wake her up. As she wakes up, she tries to smell her, but Zera asks if she is fine, after which they introduces each other. Back in the airship, Zera walks towards Lyria, who is reading her diary. She tells Zera that this helps her recalls all the experiences they had. Zera then sits beside her and says, that's so sweet, and tell her that we have traveled a lot since we first met. A lot of surprising things have happened since then. Lyria says not only surprising but good things also. They then remembers how they met Cat and fought Palm as well. From there, they survived a crash and landed on Port Breeze, where they explored the market and found this dairy, after which they met Rack and saved the island from Tiamat's aggression, and at last Rack decided to join us in this journey. She then sees the drawing and says, that's how you became our captain. Following that, we met Io, and then all of them searched for the Archduke, and Zera fought Metallic Giant, after which Io scolded Archduke, but later she joined our crew as well, and then all other events happened, where we met Rose. Even Marie decided to join us, and so did all other people. Zera agrees with her, saying, we got a big crew now. Just then Io calls them out to show the island, after which they get stunned, seeing the ocean, and the airship flies over it, and later lands on its shore. After they land, Lyria and Zera calls for Cat to come out, but she says, it will take some more time and paperwork by then. You should go ahead. So they go ahead, and Lyria sees the huts over the water. Meanwhile, CeeLo runs towards them and welcomes them. She then asks them to come in and offers juice to all of them. CeeLo tells them she is very happy that they came in, just when Zera tell her to let them know if she need any help. But Io and Vern tell Zera that we are here to chill for a while, not for work. CeeLo agrees with all of them. Zera apologizes and says she feels a little weird when she has nothing to do, but CeeLo insists they should enjoy their vacation, and says that they are always busy, so she thought she should invite you guys to rest for a while. She smiles and says, go to your room and be comfortable. They ask, what should we wear? Meanwhile, CeeLo gives them the vacation cloths and asks to choose what they like. The girls come to Zera and ask about her opinion on what should they wear, and the keeps coming to her showing their cloths, which are so adorable, confusing her entirely. One by one they comes out wearing their beach cloths and get to the beach to enjoy. All the girls then begins complimenting each other on how cute they all are looking. Io looks at everyone on how different they all looks, and then stand besides Lyria and smiles. After that, they all gets into the water and splazes on each other. Meanwhile, Rose sits aside and watches them enjoying. Meanwhile, Lyria, who's making a castle from sand, gets peekaboo by Io, and finally they form a giant Vern statue out of sand. Then a ball gets to them, and the crew ask them to join them to play the game. Meanwhile, Cat says that she feels extremely uncomfortable in these cloths. She notices 3 boys staring at her and instantly takes out her sword, making them walk away in fear. Rose laughs, seeing even in the vacation Cat didn't leave her sword. Rose then tell her that Teresa enemy here, more dangerous, as Cat looks here and there. She takes out the sunscreen, saying enemy is sunburn. Meanwhile, Cat and others enjoys their meal a lot, and keeps the plate one above the other. Lyria loves food enough that she doesn't stops, and keep eating one after other. Zera smiles looking at her. Just then she overhears 2 boys talking to CeeLo. So she gets up and asks, do you need any help, CeeLo? So she says, yes, there is a problem in getting ice in the island. They says that from last few days there is no ice available in the market. They says it's word that all of the sudden they ran out of ice. Meanwhile, CeeLo says it's bad, because now she can't serve drinks to her guest. Then Zera asks, CeeLo, shall we look in the matter? The boys tell them that you guys are the guest, but she insists that they will be happy to help, and besides all of that, they had an amazing meal, so now they are full of energy. Lyria agrees to Zera, and so does Io and Vern. They says they will be more than happy to help. CeeLo tell them that although they are on vacation, but she will be grateful for the help. After that, they starts walking ahead, and Zera tell Vern that according to CeeLo there is ice available on that island. Io asks, how we gonna get there? Zera says we can swim, but they denies, saying, we can't cover that much of the distance. As Zera thinks what should they do, Lyria says she has an idea. After which, they start crossing the ocean on the giant metallic robot. Lyria called him for help, They finally reach the other side, and thanks the robot, after which it disappears. Then they seize the cave and get inside it. As they walk inside, it starts getting cold, and Io asks, "You seems fine, Zira." She says, "Yes, because it's cold here. It makes sense that we will get all the ice from here." Io asks, "How deep is it?" She says she feels it isn't that much deeper. Just then, Zira notices a drone that starts striking them. She tells everyone to back off, and Strike the attacks, finally hits the drone with her sword. As Lyria inspect on what's this, they see many more in front of them, but Zira strike them off in a second, while others compliment her for her skills. The last drone hits a attack, but dodging it, she swings her sword and break it into 2 pieces. Just then, they seize Palm and its soldiers and he shouts, "Not you again," Zira says. Palm, meanwhile, he furiously, as "Why are you here?" And she gets it now and says, "So you are the one taking all the ice." He reacts as if he doesn't know, but Zira literally sees his soldiers taking away the ice. He says, "We need it." But Zira furiously tell him he doesn't have any right to do it and breaks a brick of ice. He points at her saying, "Don't interfere in this business, or else you will have to pay a price." The soldiers takes out their swords. Just then Cat and Rose gets in there, and as the soldiers runs to attacks, Rose bind them up with her magic. Meanwhile, Cat tell them that Cello told them where they were. Meanwhile, Palm tells his soldiers that I want an immediate counterattacks. Just then, the cave starts drifting, and ice starts falling on them, and Rose says that it's because they didn't come alone. And Cat closes Lyria's eyes as Palm hear the noise. He gets terrified. Hearing this, Palm and his soldiers retreats back and runs away from the cave. After that, they get the ice blocks back in the resort, and CeeLo thanks Zira and appreciates them by treating them with a tasty ice cream, and they all witness the firecrackers sparkling the sky. And that's how their vacation in Augusti came to an end. Reading her diary, Lyria says she will never forget this experience. Meanwhile, Zira and other calls her with them. That's all for today. If you want the next part, comment next part. We'll make it once this video hits 10,000 likes. Also, tell us which character you like the most in the comments. And thanks for watching, you guys are the best.